The Dictionary of Real Estate Appraisal, page 48, Chapter C continued. Constant dollar change per period annuity. A type of increasing or decreasing annuity that increases or decreases by a fixed dollar amount. Constant dollars. Dollars that account for real growth only, not for inflation. See also current dollars. Constant payment mortgage. A mortgage that has level period payments and an unvarying debt service, although the amortization and interest payments of which it is composed vary. If the debt service pays off the loan in full at maturity, the constant payment loan is described as self-liquidating. See also variable payment mortgage, VPM. Constant ratio change per period annuity. A type of increasing or decreasing annuity or income/property model that increases or decreases at a constant ratio, and as a result, the increases or decreases are compounded, also called exponential curve change per period annuity. Construction cost. The cost to build, particularly an improvement, includes the direct costs of labor and materials, plus the contractor's indirect costs. See also contractor's overhead. Construction loan. Financing arranged for the construction of improvements to real estate, generally a short-term floating rate debt repaid with the proceeds from permanent financing. Construction loans with a permanent financing commitment are designated as loans with a takeout commitment, and those that do not have permanent financing are loans without a takeout commitment. May include carried interest or a very small permanent component to see the property from the post-construction phase through full absorption. Construction, operation, and reciprocal easement agreement, COREA, COREA. An agreement between the owners of two or more parcels of property, detailing the construction, future operation, maintenance, and expense responsibilities, and granting one another reciprocal rights to the use of the respective parcels for such things as parking, access, and signage, most commonly associated with regional shopping malls. In most shopping centers, the anchor stores have significant input and control over the rights and obligations granted or restricted under a COREA, which could include items ranging from the use of land to development and design controls, such as permitted parking ratios. Typically, COREAs are recorded in the public records, and their covenants run with the land, also referred to as an operating agreement or reciprocal easement agreement, REA. Constructive notice. The accessibility of public records. Notice is assumed by the existence of the records. The law presumes that an individual has the same knowledge of all instruments properly recorded as if he or she were actually acquainted with them. Consumer good. A durable or non-durable economic good that satisfies a human want. Consumer Price Index, CPI. A measurement of the cost of living determined by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. the principal cost of living index and measure of inflation. Contingent contract sale. A closed sale in which 1. The purchase price specified in the contract was dependent on certain development-based approvals occurring before or in conjunction with the closing, and 2. The purchaser was not required to purchase the property if the development-based changes were not achieved. Contingent fee. Remuneration that is based or conditioned on future. Page 49. Occurrences or conclusions, or on the results of the services to be performed. Contingent interest. Interest that may be added to a loan's fixed interest rate. The loan commitment calls for an additional fixed interest rate, which is a percentage of the annual gross or net project income that exceeds a base amount to be paid to the seller or to the lender. Continued occupancy clause. For an inline shopping center tenant, a lease provision that conditions the continued occupancy of that tenant upon the occupancy of another, usually an anchor tenant. Continuing Care Retirement Community, CCRC. Retirement properties that feature a combination of congregate independent living units, assisted living beds, and skilled nursing beds, as well as properties that combine congregate/independent units and skilled nursing beds. A facility designed, staffed, and equipped to accommodate individuals who are not in need of hospital care but require skilled nursing care and other medical services. Continuous growth. Growth as it occurs in nature, in finance, growth at compound interest with instantaneous compounding. Continuous occupancy clause. A requirement to fully operate a store during mall hours without interruption or closing. ICSC. Continuous operation. The requirement that a tenant remain open during prescribed business hours and for a term consistent with the lease or reciprocal easement agreement provision. Contract. A legally binding agreement between two or more persons that represents their promise to do or not to do a particular thing. In many jurisdictions, statutes of frauds or their equivalent may render a real property contract voidable if it does not consist of a signed written agreement. See also installment contract, land contract. Contract date. The date on which a buyer and a seller agree to the sale of a property. The contract date precedes the actual closing date. See also agreement of sale, closing date, effective date. Contract for deed. A contract in which a purchaser of real estate agrees to pay a small portion of the purchase price when the contract is signed, and additional sums at intervals and in amounts specified in the contract until the total purchase price is paid and the seller delivers the deed. Used primarily to protect the seller's interest in the unpaid balance, because default can be exercised more quickly than it could be under a mortgage, also called land contract or installment sale contract. See also conditional sales contract. Contraction. A period of economic downturn characterized by declining employment, production, and income, with price stabilization and then price deflation. See also decline. Contraction stage. A stage in the real estate cycle typically characterized by occupancy rates above equilibrium but declining, by demand increasing at a lower rate than the increase in supply, and by level to decreasing effective rents, also called decline stage. Contractor. A party to the construction contract who has agreed to perform the work in accordance with the contract documents. Contractor's overhead. The general and administrative costs over and above the direct costs of materials and labor that are estimated by a contractor on any construction work. Contractor's profit. The amount by which the fee received by the contractor for work performed exceeds the total direct costs of materials, labor, and overhead. See also contractor's overhead.